Assalamualaikum Pak Fajri.
Waalaikumsalam, Bu Dini.
Sehat Pak?
Alhamdulillah. Apa kabar, Bu?
Baik Pak. Ibu gimana Pak? Sehat Pak?
Alhamdulillah. Lah kok hafal?
Kan dulu saya bawahan ibu Pak.
Di mana?
Di Darul Hikam Pak.
Di primary.
Di primary Pak.
Oh, begitu ta.
Iya Pak.
Tahun berapa itu?
2013.
13. Oh, lama sekali ya.
Iya udah lama Pak.
9 tahun yang lalu. Sekarang baru selesai 2 tahun yang lalu di primary. Sekarang di TK-nya.
Oh gitu
Di
Pak.
belakang apa namanya itu? Belakang LIPI. Kalau sekarang apa namanya? Belakang ini juga belakang McD lah. McD Simpang Dago. Di
Oh
situ
ya.
tuh. Ada situ. Oke. Sedang S3 kah?
Belum
Jadi
Pak.
Belum?
Belum Pak.
Ini masih nunggu
sedang
antrian,
ngobrol sama Mbak
Masih
Dahlia
antri.
nih. Sedang apply. Kemana Bu Dahlia?
Kemana ya Pak? Ya, kalau udah fix.
Mumpung masih 40 di bawah 40 ya.
Ya, masih
Coba
Pak.
aja
Beberapa tahun
keluar.
lagi 40-nya.
Coba aja keluar.
Iya, nanti kalau saya sudah pulang baru Dini Pak gantian.
Oh gitu. Oh,
Ya masih
begitu
antri
ya
Pak.
mekanismenya ya.
Soalnya ini di luar, sekarang aja di luar sedang ada 3 orang dan dosennya kekurangan dosen sebenarnya Pak.
Di mana aja itu yang 3?
1 di UK, 2 di Australia.
Oh,
Gitu. Jadi
kalau kami 2 di luar, 9 di dalam.
9 di dalam.
9. Untungnya di UPI jadinya bisa nyambi.
Nah, iya.
Bisa nyambi.
Wah.
Iya.
Ibu Predari, kita mulai sekarang saja atau gimana? 29.
Iya, boleh Bu Dahlia. Walaupun masih menunggu ya, sambil menunggu saja.
Oh,
Ada
oke.
berapa semuanya?
Kalau seangkatan itu 100 something, Pak. Cuma
100
kebetulan,
lebih, Pak.
ya, cuma kebetulan ini kalau semester 7 sambil PPL,
Oh,
jadi mungkin ada yang mengajar. dan
iya.
sebagainya.
Semester 7 ya.
Semester 7.
Oke.
Ya, yang sebentar
Ya,
lagi
semester
pengen
7
lulus
sedang
katanya.
PPL mungkin, Pak.
Betul.
Tapi sudah diumumkan dari jauh-jauh hari kemarin, terakhir diumumkan.
Iya.
Mudah-mudahan bisa join.
Iya.
Oke.
Ini
Mungkin,
serinya sudah panjang ternyata ya.
oh iya
Hebat.
Pak. Bu Nia rajin.
Jin.
Tiap bulan sih Pak, udah
Oh,
ya
tiap
dari awal
bulan.
pandemi, iya setiap bulan.
Wow.
This is a monthly
Hampir sudah
event.
sudah 2 tahun ini, Pak. Udah ngaji riset ke-22.
Iya, bentar lagi ulang tahun kedua.
Nah, itu
Bentar
ya.
lagi, ya.
Betul. 2 kali lagi tahun
2
kedua ya.
tahun.
Keren.
Satu yang saya heran, kenapa Bapak tidak berubah dari 15 tahun yang lalu saya lulus.
Tapi bukan karena anti perubahan ya.
Oh tidak Pak. Kan deep
Entah,
down
mungkin.
inside dynamic, tapi di luarnya boleh awet
Mungkin
muda kan
from
Pak.
the look. From the look it doesn't change ya.
Iya, sepertinya begitu.
Tapi from nowhere mungkin it changes. Gitu ya.
Iya.
Ternyata ini catatan keberapa yang mengatakan begitu itu.
Oh begitu ya Pak.
Sekarang kan banyak yang sedang PPG, baik
iya.
itu yang daljab maupun yang prajab kan. Dan itu memang mahasiswa lama. Kok rasanya nggak berubah Pak katanya. Oh iya, memang saya nggak terlalu banyak berubah.
Awet
Kayak
muda, Pak.
menyisir rambut ya begitu itu saya bilang. Membiarkan yang ada di wajah ini ya begitu itu gitu.
Sekarang nggak ada bedanya Bapak dengan mahasiswa angkatan saya Pak.
Sering ketukar memang. Sering
Jadi
ketukar.
seumuran dong.
Iya,
Dahlia ya.
Iya, aduh.
Bapak jadi seumuran dengan kami.
Padahal betul loh masih seumur sebetulnya. Hanya beda zaman.
Oh gitu ya Pak ya. Oh, benar-benar. Kalau sama yang mahasiswa sekarang itu udah beda umur ya Pak.
Iya.
Kalau mahasiswa sekarang.
Jadi ya Mbak, ya untungnya mungkin itu ya bedanya dengan kalau para dosen umumnya karena secara usia mungkin juga berbeda, jadi tingkat kedekatan tidak terlalu baik gitu ya. Tapi karena misalnya melihat saya begini, cara ini interaksi juga begitu, jadi mereka merasa nyaman. Tapi itu satu hal yang positif saya lihat gitu ya.
Kalau yang saya rasakan Pak, semakin lama itu semakin harus bekerja keras untuk relate dengan mahasiswa sekarang itu. Kalau dulu waktu mahasiswanya umurnya masih 5 tahun, 6 tahun di bawah saya itu kan ya seumuran gitu ya Pak. Jadi udah saya masuk ke dunianya. Nah kalau yang sekarang itu harus ekstra kerja keras, harus mengenali siapa itu BTS, NCT dan lain-lain. Kalau dulu nggak usah, dulu selera musiknya sama.
Tapi ya, itu jadi awet muda juga, Buzi.
Makanya kalau membicarakan sesuatu yang kita suka dulu itu langsung pada ini ya, pada langsung ini krik-krik katanya. Pasti nggak kenal katanya kalau lagi itu. Betul.
Baik.
Ini banyak alumni UIN loh yang memulai S2-nya.
Iya, betul Pak.
Di kampus.
Iya.
Ada yang dari Nondiknya juga. Kalau Nondik kan ini ya, di bawah Pak Andang sekarang ya?
Betul, ya. Beda fakultas. Kalau di UPI kan
beda fakultas
satu fakultas. Iya, beda fakultas Pak. Jadi kalau kami di Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan, ya, kalau mereka di Fakultas Adab dan Humaniora.
Oh, oke.
Itu beda fakultas dan beda kampus. Mereka di kampus 1, kami di kampus 2, jadi jarang ketemu.
Kampus 1 tuh di kampus yang lama kan, yang
Ya,
si biru itu, yang belokan ya.
Ya.
Kalau kampus 2-nya yang di
samping Polda di Soekarno-Hatta, Pak.
Oke.
Deket sih.
Iya. Wah. Suasana atmosfernya pasti lain ya.
Ya, betul. Kalau banyak mahasiswa bilang kampus 2 itu seperti UIN cabang Mesir karena banyaknya pohon kurma di sana dan cenderung panas.
Saya kira
karena
bangunannya
banyak
seperti
pohon.
bangunan Timur Tengahan begitu.
Enggak, karena
juga
pohon
ya.
kurma.
Oke.
Kalau
Jadi
bangunannya
kampus
sama
Mesir aja udah ya.
Panas juga, karena panas juga.
Betul.
Lebih panas
Iya.
dari kampus 1-nya.
Betul ya. Tapi nggak banjir kan di situ?
Di kampusnya enggak, cuman kadang kalau hujan
Jalannya.
agak lama pas keluarnya tuh
betul.
di jalanannya kejebak macet gitu.
Betul.
Banjirnya di Gede Bagenya, jadi
Iya.
terkurung.
Iya.
Gitu.
Mangga. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah ini sudah
50
lebih
ya.
Kita mulai saja. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ini pakai bahasa Indonesia saja atau pakai bahasa Inggris?
Silakan.
Well, because all of the audience today are from our own department, so I think it would be better if we use English. But yeah, we are open to any kinds of language actually. If you want to mix some of your part of your speech into Sundanese even, that's totally acceptable. Or mungkin Javanese karena Pak Fazri lulusan Malang juga.
Tapi tidak pandai berbahasa Jawa dengan baik ini.
Jawanya Jawa pergaulan ya Pak ya. Yang terhormat Ketua Lab Bahasa Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris, Ibu Predari Siswayani MPD. Yang terhormat narasumber kita pada pagi hari ini, Bapak Dr. Fazri Nur Yusuf MPD, salah satu panutan saya. Dan yang saya cintai rekan-rekan dosen Prodi PBI yang sudah bergabung, dan yang saya banggakan rekan-rekan mahasiswa Prodi PBI semester 5 dan 7, ini sebagian besar semester 7. Welcome to Ngaji Riset seri berapa? 22 ya?
22.
Terima kasih banyak sudah bergabung dengan kami di sini. Mudah-mudahan hari Jumat yang ceria. Saya tidak tahu di luar cerah atau tidak cerah, tapi mudah-mudahan kita tetap ceria. Di pagi hari yang ceria ini kita bisa berbagi bersama-sama, bisa mengeruk ilmu dari Pak Fazri mengenai menulis laporan penelitian, khususnya menulis latar belakang. This is important, specifically for the 5th and the 7th semester students, considering that you are going to soon write your skripsi, you're going to soon do your research, and so please take notes, please pay attention to everything we shared here. Hopefully the things that you learn from this morning session can be beneficial for your writing skripsi. Well, without further ado, and I apologize for mixing my language dari tadi. I'd like to welcome Ibu Predari to open the session. Ibu Predari, the screen is yours.
Yes, thank you, Bu Dahlia, as the moderator for today's Ngaji Riset and webinar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
The Honorable, our guest speaker from UPI, Dr. Fazri Nur Yusuf, MPD. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you that you can join for today's webinar, Pak Fajri. Terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya mewakili Bunia juga yang saat ini sedang ada agenda lain. Juga Bu Dahlia, terima kasih sudah menjadi moderator hari ini. Juga pada mahasiswa semester 7 khususnya, terima kasih sudah bersedia bergabung, karena memang ini kami memfasilitasi kegiatan webinar ini khusus untuk semester 7 dan juga semester 5. Tentunya hari ini kita sama-sama panjatkan puji dan syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atas segala limpahan karunia-Nya dan kesempatannya yang diberikan pada hari ini di Jumat Berkah, tadi yang sudah disebutkan oleh Bu Dahlia, dan juga sholawat dan salam kita curah limpahkan kepada pemimpin Islam besar kita, Nabi Muhammad SAW. Pak Fajri, untuk kegiatan ngaji riset atau webinar kali ini kami fokuskan memang ke dalam mata kuliah writing ataupun di sini seminar on ELT, di mana para mahasiswa akan mempersiapkan proposal untuk diajukan dalam sidang seminar begitu, karena mereka kan sudah di semester 7. Tentunya bukan hal mudah bagi penulis pemula begitu ya, kita anggap sebagai penulis pemula untuk menuliskan dalam sebuah proposal, dan memang tidak mudah juga untuk menulis sebuah introduction, pendahuluan, di mana mungkin menjadi poin penting terutama dalam background-nya, karena ditemukan banyak sekali mahasiswa yang masih misalkan Pak untuk menulis background mungkin ada comot sana comot sini gitu ya, mungkin ini yang dianggap ini baik kayaknya, kemudian mereka kopas dan sebagainya. Nah, mungkin itu bukan budaya yang baik untuk ditiru, tapi seharusnya poin-poin penting bagaimana alur ataupun struktur dalam menuliskan background yang baik, kemudian nanti penyusunan bagian pendahuluannya seperti apa. Nah, itu yang perlu mungkin ya kita pandu, ya mungkin dari Bapak sebagai ahlinya juga nanti akan bersama-sama memandu para mahasiswa untuk mengetahui atau dari mana mulainya nih dan bagaimana nanti hasilnya seperti apa. Nah, untuk mahasiswa juga ini kesempatan ya, this is your chance to know more, or you can dig some information, or maybe you can also share your introduction maybe ya. Kalau misalnya kalian ada kesulitan, kalian pun atau stuck menulisnya di bagian background, silahkan nanti boleh kalian share juga di mungkin dalam sesi-sesi ini ya. Mudah-mudahan Pak Fajri tetap berkenan ya, nanti kami undang lagi untuk beberapa agenda, insya Allah. Mudah-mudahan bisa mengenal Pak ini di lingkungan UIN seperti ini dengan nuansanya bagaimana mungkin nanti bisa bersama-sama untuk membangun, untuk menghasilkan tulisan-tulisan yang baik. Baik, terima kasih. Mudah-mudahan webinar ini berjalan dengan lancar dan kita sama-sama buka dengan membacakan basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya. Saya kembalikan kepada Bu Dahlia. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Ibu Predari atas pengantarnya. Waktu sudah hampir menunjukkan jam 9 pagi. Oleh karena itu, without further ado, kita langsung mulai saja sesi utamanya. Tapi sebelum itu, mohon izinkan saya untuk membacakan sedikit biodata dari Pak Fajri. Nama lengkap beliau Dr. Fajri Nur Yusuf MPD. Beliau adalah dosen di jurusan atau prodi apa ya? Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris, Fakultas Pendidikan Bahasa dan Seni. Oh enggak, sekarang namanya bukan FBS ya?
Pendidikan Bahasa dan Sastra.
Bahasa dan Sastra.
Yeah.
Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Beliau asli Bandung dan beliau menyelesaikan pendidikan S1-nya di PBI UPI pada tahun 2001, kemudian S2-nya di PBI UPI juga pada tahun 2006, dan beliau mendapatkan gelar doktornya dari PBI Universitas Negeri Malang atau UM pada tahun 2017. Sudah banyak sekali publikasi, hasil penelitian, dan juga kegiatan pengabdian kepada masyarakat yang sudah Pak Fazri laksanakan. Beberapa yang terbaru diantaranya adalah sebuah artikel yang ditulis bersama rekan-rekan Pak Fazri berjudul A Needs Analysis of Technology Integrated Basic English Grammar Course in the Indonesian Context. Ini diterbitkan di International Journal of Education. Kemudian yang lainnya adalah Meaning Making Construction Through Multimodal Instructional Approach or MIA in EFL Context. Ini dipresentasikan di Virtual International Conference on English Language Teaching, Literature and Translation or ELTLT di UNES pada tahun 2021 dan terbit juga di proceedingnya pada tahun 2022. Selain itu, boleh saya bacakan satu lagi berjudul Analysis of Teachers' Voices of Learner Autonomy in EFL Online Learning Context. Yang ini dipublikasikan dan diterbitkan di Proceeding Konaplin tahun 2020 yang diterbitkan oleh Atlantis Press. Masih banyak sekali teman-teman yang bisa saya bacakan, tapi nanti waktunya habis sama saya, lebih baik habisnya sama Pak Fazri saja. Baik, Bapak, let's just start our session. The screen is yours, Pak Fazri. And you are also the co-host, so you are free to control the screen sharing or any other part of
Thank
this.
you very much. Thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation to have me to this session. I'm very glad to be a part of the Ngaji Riset. That's very interesting term, and I love the term. Probably you're combining the two, the two madhabs. Yeah? The first madhab is Ngaji, and the second one is research. Okay, and it's interesting. All right, so that's why I have to be very pious in presenting my section here today. As requested, that my presentation will be about the background. Okay, the background. Why is it important to write a good background, and why background is supposed to be there in our undergraduate thesis? I think everyone here is, I mean, the main participants are undergraduate students, right? Okay, very good, and good to see you online. I hope someday we can see you offline, yeah? Because I never visit your second campus, the Egypt campus. Okay, all right. Thank you, Ibu Kaprodi. He was a very close friend of mine, spending our time completing our master program. And I think this is my first time meeting some of you, like Ibu Fredari, Ibu Dini, yeah. But I'm quite popular. I mean, familiar with Ibu Dahlia. So that's why Ibu Dahlia still remember the name of her faculty at the time, Fakultas Pendidikan Bahasa dan Seni. Because she once lived there. Sometimes when the newest faculty, the current faculty, did not exist yet. Yeah, it is now Faculty of Language and Literature Education, Fakultas Pendidikan Bahasa dan Sastra, because we have another faculty for arts, yeah, we call it as Faculty of Design and Visual Education. Again, thank you very much, Ibu Nia, for the invitation and for everyone having me today. Today's session will be focusing on how we understand the nature of background in your undergraduate thesis. Probably some of you have been working with the research proposal at the moment, or probably some others are working with their research. Are they, Bu Dahlia?
Many of them mostly are working on their research proposal still.
All right. So it would be wonderful. But one thing that I need to highlight before I start my presentation is that writing never comes once. Yeah, writing never comes once. So there is a continuum of work of doing writing, and writing doesn't play is all alone. Normally, your reading, your discussion, your consultation will also play a very important role in your writing. And I think this is the best time. And you have to thank Ibu Kaprodi in this case for having this session with you, because it means that you are equipped not only with the knowledge but also with the skills. And I hope that today I can share the sessions not only talking about my stuff but also sharing what you have been doing. Yeah, probably I spend in less than an hour, and then the rest would be question and answer and probably a little consultation. Yeah, but of course, bear in your mind that I don't know everything. Okay, I have to tell you the truth. I don't know everything. So probably in some of my parts, there would be something that somebody else can complete, and you can also complete it anyway. All right. Allow me to share my screen. I think it is on, right? All right. Okay, so this is what I have planned for this session. I hope that I have written everything correctly there. Right. Well, why background is important? Because the first thing that you should start with is your background can give your readers understanding of what your topic is or what your topic will be. Along the way, there would be a time for you, for your readers to understand what is going on. And of course, for you, it is possible that you make change. But remember, the change is not supposed to be very big, so that your readers will understand the continuum of your thought from the beginning. All right, that's the first thing. So your background can give a general understanding of what your topic will be, and then it explains why your research is later, because you are now working with your research proposal, worth reading. I think everybody is familiar with the heading in newspapers, whether it is I rarely find a printed newspaper lately, but probably many of you have been flooded with the pop-up news from any what do you call it, news anchors and news companies showing the latest news around us concerning the latest issues. Normally the first heading will invite the readers further or not to invite the readers to read further. So that's why your background is supposed to be like a hook for your readers, so that they want to continue reading, right? So that's the issue of your background. So because this is going to be your research paper or undergraduate thesis, for instance, then your background should somehow give not only that the topic is important, but the topic is worth. The topic is going to provide something essential for your readers, for them to read further. All right. The next one is your background should offer a guide for navigating the rest of the piece of your undergraduate thesis. So your background will give at least a brief of what you are presenting later on. If it is your research proposal, what you are going to do with your research. And probably your background can also predict what it will be in the findings of your research. So you could imagine if somebody reads your background, they can not only know the topic of your research, the gap that you are going to fill in, and then all things about the research procedure. Even they can also predict the findings and what the conclusion will be. That's why your background offers a guide of your research. And for sure, it is like a header, yeah, in newspaper. It piques your readers' interest. You could imagine that if you share your research to somebody who does not have the same interest as you, believe me, it's not going to be easy to convince them to continue reading your piece. All right. So that's why it is important to provide a hook, as I told you, interesting point in your background, so that later on somebody who does not know or who does not even care of the topic they want to read, and they can come to their interests later after reading your background. Okay, I hope it reaches your understanding of why background is important in your research proposal. There are some kind of structure that probably you are familiar with. Okay, we have the background. I'm not sure whether at when this kind of structure is allowed, or does it follow the guideline of the university, Bu Dahlia? Hello, Bu Dahlia?
Oh yeah.
Does it follow the guideline so far? If
Yes.
you take a look at this?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Okay.
This is the exact same
All right.
outline that we
Right.
use. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Right. Because this one is very general, generic structure of a thesis. Yeah. Whichever thesis that you are taking at the moment, whether undergraduate thesis, master thesis, or doctorate thesis, normally it will consist of this. But in terms of the number of the chapters, it depends on the institution, yeah, where you're studying at. The first thing, normally we start with the background. So that's why, as I've mentioned, that the background gives or describe the topic, even introduces your topic, right? And then the background navigates the content of your research, from the literature review, research methodology, findings, discussion, and even conclusion. So the background can also describe all things about your research. Okay, so we start with background, and normally it would be followed by the literature review. Probably later on we can discuss further about literature review. But a very short understanding of literature review is you are talking about the theoretical framework, the theories, and particularly theoretical framework. And you also put forth some previous research findings. So literature review is a kind of synthesis of important theoretical framework only relevant to your research issue or topic. Yeah, so do not put any irrelevant one or just relevant one. Sometimes I keep talking to my students like this. Kalau cuma nyinggung-nyinggung sedikit, jangan dipakai, right? If it does only touch a bit about your topic, do not use it. But if the topic, if the source, for instance, talks a lot about your topic, and then you can use it. There are some considerations that you may take. I think we can discuss it further. Yeah. The next one is the research methodology. So even in your background, you can somehow identify what research methodology that you plan to use, if it is undergraduate thesis proposal, for instance. Yeah. Remember, because you are working with the undergraduate thesis, there is a very great possibility that it is not subject to change. So you may change along the way. But of course, you need to consult with your thesis supervisor to make sure that that the plan suits your research purpose, because research purpose should be the core issue of your research. Otherwise, your research will not be undergone well. Yeah. The next one is the findings and discussion. Again, as I mentioned, that your background even can somehow predict the findings, the discussion, and even the conclusion. So this is the generic structure of a thesis, whichever level you're working at. But let's take a look at this one. The background is here, right? But now let's take a look at another line. This is what I call it, the research procedure. I would say that based on several theoretical framework, the procedure of a research does not start with the background, but it starts from the background is here. It starts from the literature review. Why? There would be a question, right? So why we start with the literature review? Because, in the background, as I've mentioned, normally we come up with the topic and we also come up with the gap. It's not going to be easy just to identify the gap at once after your personal observation of the case, for instance. In many cases, I would suggest my students to work with the literature review, even though I realize that doing literature review takes time, takes your energy, takes your focus. So that's why many of us working with our thesis for very long years. Yeah. Why? Because literature review, most of the time, not the background. But the background is normally colored by your comprehensive or uncomprehensive literature review. Okay, so if you do not have yet your background, you can do along the way the literature review and start writing your background at the same time. I keep myself and I keep asking my students to work with these two, and even some parts, especially the first 3 chapters, dealing with the background, the literature review, and the research methodology at the same frame. Why is it so? Starting from finding the sources, and then making sure that the sources are relevant to your topic, then reading the sources to make you get the insights from, then start getting the information from the sources by doing the citation, for instance, and putting the citations into your draft, and then paraphrasing, editing, what else? Organizing your draft in such a way so that it is in line with your research purpose, then these all things should be done within the same time frame, not differently. For instance, don't find the sources this week, for instance, or today, and tomorrow you read it, or probably next week you read it to understand it, and then next 2 weeks you start citing and drafting and then editing, organizing in your draft, and so on and so forth. It may take longer time. Yeah, so there is a need for you to organize from finding the sources into drafting into your undergrad thesis within a very close timelines. So make sure that you have the timelines and be committed with the timelines, yeah, with your not only hard work but also smart work. Yeah, work smartly. Yeah, because I think everyone has been exposed to plenty of sources dealing with the sources, and I don't think that you can cope with those sources within a very short time. Yeah, you need some time to work with this. So this is the difference between, let me repeat, the thesis structure, okay, where you can find the background in the very beginning of your draft, and then the research procedure, where the background mostly starts after you do the literature review. Yeah, and your comprehensive literature review will color beautifully of your background. So your readers may get the pick of interesting point from your literature review into your background. So that's why there are some important informations that we can share to our readers in our background later, right? Just in case you have questions, feel free to interrupt me.
Or you can also write down the question in the chat box.
That's correct. That's absolutely fine. All right. Okay. What is in the background anyway? Normally, it is a kind of general understanding, yeah, of writing a background. Yeah, there are some informations that you need when you come to your background. So your background does not start with just writing it down. No, yeah, you need some information beforehand. So that's why I think everyone believes in that there is a very close connection between reading and writing. Yeah. So the more you read, the great possibility that you can write it down. Right. So that's why there are some important information that you can find first before you start writing your background. Number one, you need to get an overview of the topic. I'm going to borrow Professor Willy Renandia's term in this case, that when somebody is working with one topic, make sure that he or she knows a lot about the topic. So there is a need to be knowledgeable. Yeah. So knowledgeability of the topic is very important when you come to your thesis. Right? An overview of the topic. You need to know why this topic is interesting. You need to know why this topic comes in as a trend, for instance. You need to know that why this topic is urgent, yeah, to be researched, and so on and so forth. In many cases, having the latest publication, last 3 years publication, last 5 years publication, even until last 10 years publication can help you overview the topic, whether the topic is still feasible or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is important, and it is essential for you to come up with the answer of that, whether the topic is feasible or not. Feasible is that whether it can be researched or it cannot. Yeah, it can be researched because of two reasons. The first reasons is the research is there, but then the number is still few. That's the possibility. And the second one, no one has research on the topic. So those are the two possibilities of your topic overview. Of course, there are challenges that you may encounter when overviewing the topic. In some cases, a topic may be very popular, so you can find plenty of sources. Yeah, if you check the Google Scholar, if you go to the university, what do you call it? Search engine. Excuse me, is the university subscribing journals?
Yes, the library, they can search some.
The library, okay.
Yeah.
Do
some
you find
portals.
the search engines from any journal publishers?
I need to check first.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't really remember the portals that we
Right.
subscribe to.
It is important. For instance, in my university, we have some search engines that you can go into and find your research interests to overview. Yeah, we have Sage. We have access to Sage publication, for instance, Springer. You know, these two are very, outstanding and outperform publishers so far as I'm concerned. Yeah, because they belong to the Elsevier, for instance. Then we have Emerald. Yeah, if you are interested in doing reflective practice, Emerald provides you plenty of sources of reflective practice or any English language teaching in practice. Then we have Oxford, Cambridge. If your university does not provide, we call it resources, yeah, in its search engine, I think you can subscribe. You can register to National University, sorry, National Library. Yeah, we call it Perpusnas. You can go there, and I think because once I use it, and then there are plenty of search engines that you can use. Yeah, even you can access them freely because the National Library may subscribe what the people need. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first thing, and it is important to know, to be knowledgeable, because after having this knowledgeability, it's not that enough. You need to go to be critical. I welcome my students, for instance, coming to me with any topic, with any questions, but then they should provide me with the arguments. Why? Do you, let's say with this very simple questions, do you happen to check it in this journal or in the publisher journals, for instance, whether they exist or not? Yeah, and then they can cross-check whether the questions are still feasible or not. Otherwise, they have to probably modify the questions, or they may change the questions. So feel free to do so. Yeah. Jadi boleh punya pertanyaan apapun, but you need to have the arguments. All right. The arguments is not, okay, this is the reason why I have these questions. No, but show them that you have read plenty of sources, plenty of relevant sources. I would say relevant, credible, and current sources. If they do not bring me those things, then they should come back to their readings. Okay? I know it's challenging. Right, that's the first one. The second one, by overviewing your topic, actually you can find the prior research. the previous research findings. Why is it important? As I mentioned, it is to answer your prior questions in your research topic. When you find the prior research, the previous research findings, and then they have answered your questions, it means it is the time for you to modify or even to change your research focus. Yeah, otherwise, people have done on the topic that you are interested in. Okay, so prior research, as I mentioned, is the findings are put not only in the background but also in a literature review. So that's why when you are working with the overviewing the topic to find the prior research on the topic, actually you are working with two different chapters, but actually they are working with the same core business. Yeah, finding the knowledge of the topic. Right. The next one is you need to have a rationale for your paper. Even though many of us would come with research question, but research questions need to be verified with the previous or the prior research, the previous research findings. Why that kind of question worth to be investigated? If you do this, then actually you are refilling a gap. A gap in the research is something with twofold. Yeah, the first one is something that less research, or we call it under research, and the second one, nobody has researched it. That's why we can refill a gap. But remember, this is my personal tips to you. Make sure that it is your interest why you want to do research. If it is not that easy to come up with your interest, then you can ask your academic advisor, yeah, or your lecturers at the program, yeah, just in case they have, we call it a research roadmap. So you can work with them, you can collaborate with them under their under their supervision, and they can provide you with the topic, and then you can start with the topic. Believe me, it would be easier, and you will have a complete guide from your academic advisor. Yeah, especially when you have to find the rationale, the argument beyond the gap that you are investigating. The next one is you need also to know the methodology. Even though this kind of knowledge will come afterwards, yeah, after you find the research focus of your thesis, but then it is also important to start with. So that's why in the beginning I mentioned you need to not only to see the literature review, yeah, to write your background and your literature review section, but also to think about methodology. Yeah, normally methodology will deal with 4 issues. Yeah, the first issue is the design, yeah, the research design. Yeah, what kind of design? Normally it will be under 3. Okay, the first one is qualitative approach, quantitative approach, and then mixed method. Or probably if some of you are also interested in doing action research, is it okay in your institution, Udalia, of working with the action research?
Actually, so far we don't recommend it because
you do not. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. Because it depends on the institutional policy in this case. In my campus, it's okay, but of course there would be a very comprehensive and then intensive guide to the students, because working with that kind of design needs not only understanding of the procedure but also some other things around the research itself. So, doing research, I understand that it's complicated, yeah. But personally, I'm happy to welcome any research design, yeah. Even though we understand that we need to see the time frame they have, for instance, yeah. We are not suggesting the students to work with design-based research, for instance, because it takes time. Yeah, it may need longer time, yeah, than design-based research, or some people recognize it as research and development design. This kind of DBR, design-based research, is introduced for doctoral program students, yeah, because they have plenty of time, and then the academic maturity is much better than undergraduate thesis. We have to recognize that and acknowledge that to the students. So that's what you call it, institutional policy. But of course, in some cases, we may also not encourage students to do a particular design. For instance, like experimental study. Yeah, because in some cases, if the students could not follow all the principles of doing the experimental study, then we would not suggest them to do so. Because again, the time they have does not allow them to do so. Yeah, the capacity they have does not allow them to do so. So there are some consideration anyway. Time is one of which, their capacity is another thing. The other one is students, teacher connection, especially the teachers, the supervisors' expertise. If the supervisors does not have expertise on the topic, then of course it is not recommended to conduct research on the design. Lately, there are some students eager to work on narrative inquiry, for instance. There are still debates, yeah, in working with the narratives one, yeah. So that's why narratives are not yet introduced to undergrad students, but to masters, they can work with, right? That's the first one, the design. The second one is about the data resource, or the participants or the subject of their study. So they need to understand who is going to involve in their research, or what sort of data that they will collect in their research. So it depends on the research focus anyway, right? The next one is the data collecting technique, the instruments. What kind of instruments? Why they select particular instruments? Yeah. What is their considerations? Of course, the consideration is not only going to practicality, but theoretically, it is allowed. Theoretically, it supports the research. Yeah. Many students just come with the instruments. But I'm going to use observation. What do you mean with the observation? And what sort of questions you have to observe? And then most of them just think that observation is they come to a class and look at what is going on in the class, and they what do you call it, simsalabim, yeah, and they get the data. No. Okay, there is of course a procedure how to develop the instrument. For instance, what theoretical framework underlining the instruments they are developing, for instance, how the instruments are validated or triangulated, and so on and so forth. So we teach them not only the definitions of the instruments, but also how to work with the instruments. because in many cases, the instruments are not available for their research. So it means that they have to develop. That's why in some cases, we do not introduce the students with something too complicated that may take their time and energy. You know, if they have to read hundreds of sources, for instance, it means that the research is not feasible for them. Okay, if the teacher, I mean the supervisor, has to explain everything to the students, then it means that the student is not ready for the research, yeah, and so on and so forth. And the last thing is data analysis. You know, working with the data analysis sounds very easy in the draft, but actually it is quite challenging as well. So far as I have observed from the students, data analysis is they just write like this. The data will be analyzed, the data collected will be analyzed qualitatively and quantitatively, and following Bogdan and Bicklin. Collecting the data, reducing the data, categorizing the data, interpreting the data, and then what do you call it? Drawing conclusion. I think it's not enough. Yeah. To me, all research will be done with that procedure. Yeah. Starting from collecting the data and then reducing which information needed for the research to answer the research question, and which information are not needed for the research. That's data reduction. That's very normal. Yeah. If your research is about, okay, I bring you one topic about teacher corrective feedback, for instance. You know, when talking about teacher can be male teacher and female teacher, right? Teacher with less experience teaching background, and with more experience teaching background, and so on and so forth. And then you, in your instrument, for instance, you ask, how many years do you teach? Or what is your teaching? How long is your teaching experience? And then the respondents will respond like under 5 years, 5 years, and then between 5 to 10 years, or above 10 years, and so on and so forth. Are you going to include that information into your research? If the answer is not, then it means that your data, your information will be reduced. You are not going to talk about that in your draft. Yeah, because you are not talking about the length of the teacher's experience in doing teacher's written feedback, for instance. Yeah, that's data reduction, right? That's data analysis. So for me, data analysis, it depends on the approach. It depends on the research approach that you are using. Are you using qualitative one or quantitative one? When talking about quantitative research, then believe me, statistic will be the data analysis tool. Yeah. Which statistics? Of course, not descriptive statistic, but inferential statistic. It depends on the research focus. But when you're talking about qualitative research, the data analysis will belong or will be derived from theoretical framework. The main theories that you are using, you are employing, starting from defining or formulating the research focus, and then recruiting the participants of your research, developing the instruments of your research, yeah, and then analyzing the data collected later. So those four, the design of the research, the subject of the research, or the data resource that you will collect, the instruments that you are going to use to collect the data, and the data analysis process, those are very important when talking about methodology. Of course, in your background, you can just provide it in brief, not in detail. Where is the detail? Put it where the part should be. Let's say if you're talking about methodology, it would be in chapter 3, for instance. research methodology talking about those 4 sections, right? The next point is a thesis statement or an outline. What you are going to do. Normally in your research, by the end of your background, you will mention what you are going to do. Yeah, that's the outline of your research. Whom you are going to involve, or what kind of data resource that you will collect in your research. Yeah, and then what kind of gap that you are going to reveal, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this information, I think, will help you a lot in writing your background. When you have only part of it, believe me, it will be rather difficult to develop and to write a appealing background. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, probably your background is there, but then it is not that interesting for your readers to read further. Okay. So I have another figure of showing this with you. Okay. This is your background. So what you need, this is a very generic structure of background. So if you find a background, you may find the burning issue. Yeah, the burning issue is introducing the topic. Yeah, the topic. If your topic is speaking, then talk about speaking immediately. If you talk about listening, then you talk about listening immediately. If you talk about teacher identity, and then talk about teacher identity. If you talk about teacher's reflective practice, then talk about reflective practice. Not sorry, don't talk about something in general or too general. Let's say your research is about okay, I will take this sample that I'm going to share later for you. Teachers online written corrective feedback. Then don't talk about the role of English as a foreign language in the world. Yeah, no, don't talk about that. It would be above the sidratul muntaha, you know. Okay. Jadi kalau topiknya tentang teacher online written corrective feedback, then talk about that. Yeah. Do not talk about the role of English as international language, for instance, or the role of English as a lingua franca. Another instance, yeah, don't do that. Okay, your readers may not be as patient as you to read further. Otherwise, they just read that part and they leave your work. You could imagine you have been working for months or even for years, but then you do not make your readers interested in reading further of your research. The next one is the research gap. Yeah. Show what the research gap. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, that when talking about research, and then your research, even your research proposal is read by your teacher, by your supervisor, or by you mentioned sidang proposal, yeah? Sidang proposal reviewer, for instance. Then show the gap. The gap may make them interested in reading it further. The gap, the explicit gap, may show the urgency of your research. Then probably they will say, okay, I think you know the issue and you have identified the gap, and I think you can go on with your research. Yeah. The next one is the evidence. If you can identify the gap from your personal observation, that's fine, but support it. Show the prior research, show the previous research findings to support your argument. So in this case, actually, you have the statement, the thesis statement, showing the gap on the one hand, and on the other hand is you provide the evidence. So it is not only your personal look at the issue, but everybody else previously have also observed the same thing. That's why it is important to show them supporting evidence. I hope the time allows me later on to share you how to work with the supporting evidence. Yeah. The last one, your research plan. What you plan? Yeah. If you are done with, remember when you come to the end of your research, you need to change your research plan. Yeah. Normally, students will use the present research is going to do this, okay? But by the end of your research, please change it, convert it into the research. Investigate what? Yeah, investigate which research focus. Okay, right. Let me show you two different types of background. This is the first type. You start with the burning issue. Yeah. The next one, the research gap, including the supporting evidence. Then you come to the research plan. Normally, this kind of background is for research which only describe what is happening or only describe a particular case. So this kind of research would be like case study, phenomenology, yeah, yeah, and I think other qualitative research may apply in doing this. Very simple one, consisting only four parts, but actually in some parts of your writing, let's say you can put the burning issue in the first paragraph, including the statement of the research club by the end of the paragraph. And then you provide the supporting evidences in the following paragraphs in 2, 3, 4 supporting paragraphs, yeah, to support the research gap. And then you start with, you end up the background with your research plan, okay, to show that what gap that you are going to fill, or what gap that you are going to reveal even. Yeah. This is the first time. Yeah. The second type is this one. It's more complex. Why? Because you're going to employ particular intervention. Normally in action research, in experimental study, yeah, in semi-experimental case study, for instance, you may apply this intervention. So you have the burning issue, you have the research gap of the issue, including the supporting evidence of the research gap, and you provide the intervention and the supporting evidence of the intervention. So in this case, do not talk too much about definition, yeah, because there is a place for you to talk about definitions later in literature review. You just define it in one sentence, for instance, or even in a phrase, then you go on with the supporting evidences, yeah. And then the last one, the research plan. So you may use any of this, yeah. Normally in action research, what else? Case study, yeah, semi-experimental case study may apply. Narrative, I think we'll use the first type of background, narrative inquiry. Design-based research would apply this, yeah, because they are somehow applying intervention in the research. Okay. Next, right, this is the difference, yeah, compared with the first type. There is intervention and completed with the supporting evidence. That's why, as I mentioned, and I will keep mentioning this, literature review will help you a lot, yeah, in working with a very appealing background. Okay. What about the don'ts? Probably this is about what you need to avoid, yeah, from your research background. I brought you only a few sample, I guess, just to give of what do you say, just to the peak. Yeah? Let's say, wait, okay. Oops. Why can it hide? All right, this one. Okay, let's say I have this title, Teachers Online Written Feedback. Okay, we have teachers and then online. Okay, remember the issue of online can be broad in sense, but it can also be focused on particular thing. Probably this title came when the pandemic attacked us the other day. I hope it won't attack anymore. Yeah, I mean, but online learning and online teaching may still happen, and it has been happening. Yeah, it has been happening. Okay, right. You may take a look at the sentences, or the sentences in yellow over there. When talking about teachers' online written feedback on students' writing, you take a look at the feedback, and the feedback is delivered in written, and then it is in online mode of learning or teaching, and then it is provided by the teachers. So it is not by the students themselves, it is not by their peers. It is online, it is not offline, it is not face to face. It is written, it is not spoken. Yeah, it is not by gesture, but it is spoken. It is written, and it is a feedback. And the feedback goes on the students writing, not the students speaking, not on the students reading or listening comprehension. And the students are secondary class, secondary level of education. You know, this term may be more popular in the United States, right? Instead of in Indonesian context, we tend to, sorry, in European context, sorry, instead of in American context. You know, in Indonesia, we have junior and senior high school in some cases. But you know, when you use the term secondary classrooms, you can also include junior and junior and senior high. Yeah, and then a case, again, you need to understand why it is a case. All right, we can have further session later on talking about this term. Now let's take a look at this, the two highlighted sections in this. This is only a one paragraph. And you could imagine we can also identify some issues here. Teaching English to EFL, English as a foreign learner. You could imagine EFL is not English as a foreign learner, but English as a foreign language. Yeah. So this is a very popular term. Why the student does not know about this? So you need to be careful. Another thing is EFL is very popular term, and you do not have to mention the abbreviation anyway. Yeah, to EFL context, for instance, everybody knows it. EFL stands for English as a foreign language, and so on and so forth. Okay, has become an important issue in the field of writing activity. All right. Okay. And as foreign learners, students in Indonesia use their mother tongue to communicate with others. What's going on with these two sentences? How are they relevant with the topic there? Teachers' online written feedback on students' writing. None. That's why this is what you should not do in your background. Yeah. And look at the second highlighted section. Afterwards, writing contains, why she uses afterwards there. Writing contains a long process of thinking, drafting, editing, and revising. Does it have anything to do with the previous sentence? It is because writing comprises many types of competencies such as linguistic, rhetorical, cognitive, strategic, and pragmatic competence. It seems that the two sentences are not well connected one to another. The sentences are not cohesive, right? So that's why it is important, ladies and gentlemen, to make a very good connection between or among paragraphs. Yeah. And one thing that probably some of you have spot, yeah, in the draft. Look at this. Harmer. Okay. Let me show this. Yeah. Okay. Harmer. And then this one. Propose, but then claim. Yeah. Be careful with this. This is very, very simple mechanic, but then you need to be very careful. Not only the content, but also other mechanic things. Grammar, yeah. Not to put double verbs here. Okay. Right. Let me continue the next one, and I have to clean this part. I have to erase. Okay. Let's take a look at the next sample. All right, this one. Okay. The impact of written corrective feedback on students' writing. Okay. The first one, oops. The first one teaches online written feedback, and this one is the impact. Okay. Regardless the title, I just want to bring you to the sense of what the writing should be about. Yeah? I personally would not suggest you to write the impact of, okay, because we don't know yet. Yeah, research is gap revelation. Yeah, gap. The process to reveal the gap, okay, or to answer the gap, yeah, to fill the gap. Right. When talking about this, and then you start with writing is one of the most important productive skills. Is fine, okay. That English as a foreign language students, it is much better now. Should be skilled, probably skillful in language, in learning language, okay. But then probably this is the problem when she has the first sentence and then the second sentence does not really support the first sentence. Writing plays a significant role in learning since it is widely used as a medium to gather, preserve, and transmit information to the readers. The same question addressed here. So how these two questions connected with the title there? And you remember, the title brings the research focus. The title even brings the research methodology. The title even brings the prediction of what data will be revealed. Yeah, there would be another question. Next, several writing problems were, whose writing problems are there? Negative attitude towards writing, lack of ability in using grammar, and inability to express their thoughts in English. Okay, I personally would add comma over here after grammar. Yeah, even though I understand that I found another writing style does not use comma over there. But I personally would suggest you to use comma over there to see that, or to show your reader that lack of ability in using grammar is different from inability to express their thought in English, because these two are two different things. These two addresses different issues. Okay. Right. Those are the do's. Do we have questions over here? Okay, that's good.
Yes, someone is posting a question.
All right.
In the chat box, it's Ruli Fadila.
Ruli Fadila. Yeah. Can you use previous research as base rather than our own. I think I've mentioned that. Yeah, personal observation may be used, but remember we have the so-called prior research, previous research findings. So the same relevant, credible, and then current previous findings should also be acknowledged there in your research. Why? It is to show your knowledgeability on the topic. Which one is more preferable? The new one where no one have searched or find, or the previous one? Yeah, each brings you different challenge, of course. Yeah, as I've mentioned, I think. If the research is under research, at least the challenge is not going to be easy for you to find the supporting evidences. Yeah, because it is under research. Less research you may find. But the second one, when the research is quite popular, another challenge will come to you that it's not going to be easy to find the gap. Why? Because many gaps have been revealed. That's the challenge. So which one? Number one, you may start with your patient. What to which way, yeah, to which direction your interest goes. That's the first one. Normally I keep telling this to my students. Your interest should start first, because if your interest is with you, if you're interested in the topic that you want to investigate, how hard it is, you will undergo with. Yeah.
Exactly.
So interest first. Yeah, because interest may drive you a very high motivation to do so. Yeah, personally, I did that for my undergraduate thesis. Yeah. At the time I was working under the topic of interpreting Indonesian English course, and it was not that easy for me to find the sources by that time. But so far as I have been observing, that topic is still rare to be researched, at least for many our undergrad or graduate students. Yeah, only few are interested in doing research on interpreting. Interpreting is the companion of translating course. Yeah, right. I think that's the only question. Yeah, Dahlia.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Thank you for sharing the digital resources. Yeah. You have Journal Win, ebooks, and then search engine from EBSCO, Cambridge Journals, and Marefa. I think it is new to me. One Search, PTKI Library.
Yeah, it's for the
Perpustakaan Islam
Islamic
Digital.
universities.
Okay. Probably not all of them may be or may provide you the intended sources. Your job is to be tough to find them. Because working with, finding the sources only comes to those who are patient in working
Exactly.
with. Right? If you, I'm not sure whether in your institution a non-paper or a non-thesis is allowed.
No, everyone should make one
Everyone
thesis
should write.
to be able to graduate.
All right, there would be another challenge for you. Like it or dislike it, you have to write a thesis then. All right. Okay, what about the do's? All right, this is interesting, and I think even though it is simple, but it reaches what you are expected to write. Yeah, look at this. The same one. Actually, I observe the process. Yeah, after a very intensive supervision, for instance, I think you can do this. So get closer to your advisor, right? Okay, so that you can get insights throughout the discussions and feedback, whichever feedback, written feedback, spoken feedback, even what you call it, voice feedback recorded through WhatsApp and any platform. Yeah, look at this one. Instead of saying writing is a productive skill and so on and so forth, and then she starts to make it more condensed in writing. One sentence, but showing many things here. Yeah. As one of the most important productive skills to master, everyone knows that. So it's not going to be a very important issue anymore, but it needs to be highlighted. Yeah. Writing plays a significant role in learning since the reasons is widely used as a medium to gather, preserve, and transmit information to the readers. Probably she started to understand, to grasp, and then to internalize the information she has collected throughout the process of reading and discussing into her writing. And I think this sentence is quite rich to me. Yeah. Number one, she brings some ideas in the sentence. Yeah. About writing, about the role of writing, about the knowledge that writing is a part of productive skills, yeah, and then what it can contribute to, and then including the citation there, Graham et al. 2013. Even though personally, I would suggest her to have another one. Another punctuation over there. Okay, and then look at the second sentence. However, okay, by having this sign, actually, she's going to talk about the gap. Yeah. However, namun, okay, there would be a gap. And look at the citations. She came up not only with one, at least three. You know, in many cases, if you read some articles, even in one paragraph, you may have more than 15 citations. So 15 sources at least are cited there, even in one paragraph. But to me, this one is okay. Yeah. So in the Nation EFL students, it has something to do with the title there, right? Face difficulties in writing affecting their writing ability, that she took from the three sources over there. Several writing problems, among others, are she adds some information about what problem or what difficulties encountered. Negative attitude towards writing, lack of ability in using grammar, and inability to express their thoughts in English. More or less, the content is the same, but the writing is more concise, right? Okay, that's, I think, what your supervisor expect from your writing. Yeah, I expect that my students, more students write like this. Actually, it belongs to my undergraduate supervisor as well. Now let's take a look at another one. Wait. Okay, this one. What about presenting supporting evidence? Many studies have been conducted regarding teacher written corrective feedback, since it has always been an interesting topic to be discussed by experts. But my point is, I'm going to show you the evidence. Look at the blue highlight there. Several researchers reported that teacher written corrective feedback conducted by the teacher, okay, she missed the over there, was more effective to have. When you came up with the evidence, was more effective. Don't stop there. Show your readers what is more effective. Then she adds, to help students improve their writing. That's good. Yeah. Effective, showing evidence that something effective is not enough. Normally, you need to show the evidence. Yeah. The evidence in this case, more detailed information about the effectiveness. It is like in your motivation letter, when you are applying for a scholarship, you mention, I'm good at English. That's good, but that's not enough. I'm good at English. That's good, but that's not enough. What is what is it supposed to be then? Probably you don't have to mention I'm good at English, but then you can show people I won I won gold medal on English debate contest, national level, for instance. I won writing contest at international level in South Korea, for instance. Then you don't have to mention that your English is good, right? The proof says that you're good at English already. The speaking, because you won a gold medal. The writing, because you won the first prize, for instance. Yeah. And then another thing is, look at the references over there. Kasim, I remember the name is I forget. Is an expert in writing, and it's correct. Yeah, Bichner is an expert in feedback in writing, and it's correct. That's at least that's what I remember. Yeah? That yeah, we noticed there is another writing problem like Maulawi Diab is supposed to be probably only Diab. Yeah, you don't have to mention the Maulawi. Like my name, you don't have to mention Fajri Nur Yusuf or Nur Yusuf, just Yusuf. That's it. The last name, even though it is not your last name. In Indonesian context, sometimes somebody's last name is not the last name because the last name normally refers to the family name, right? Alhamdulillah, my last name is my family name. Fajri Nur Yusuf. My father's name is Yusuf. My grandfather's name is Yusuf. Yeah. Okay. Next, look at this. Students who receive show an improvement in their writing than students who did not receive any correction, any teacher written corrective feedback. That's good. Okay, students, look. So the focus is on the findings. The focus is on the evidence showing that something helps students write better. Yeah, students get benefit from the correction made by the teacher. They are given precise feedback, such as types of error they make, the frequency of those errors, and the improvement of their writing progress. Last 4 lines. Teacher written corrective feedback is considered as an effective and successful way of assessing students' writing works. This is for teachers. And make them aware of mistakes, help them understand the lesson, and lead them to reach the predetermined goals. I think this paragraph has evidenced us that the person, the writer, the author of this paragraph knows something about teacher written corrective feedbacks, gives benefit to the student's writing. That's the conclusion we can draw, right? Okay, another thing, but I think this is going to be my last sample. Yeah. Revealing research gap. I think I have mentioned this in the previous slides showing, however, yeah, number of studies showing evidence, and then, however, the research about activities in senior high school is inadequate. Okay, and then, this is about the research gap and research plan. The study will focus on to help students improve their writing, yeah, giving teacher written corrective feedback to students, expected to be able to help them produce better text and to explore students' attitude toward the implementation of teacher written corrective feedback in writing recount text. So the recount text is the part of the scope of the research. So the scope in this case deals with the types of text, the students, secondary school students, and then the English context, EFL context, and probably Indonesian context. Okay, I think that's what I can share. We still have 20 minutes, I guess, to have question and answer. Or probably there would be 1 or 2 samples for us to observe and to see whether the background is already on track or needs a revision. Budalia?
Yes, thank you, Bapak. It was a very enriching and eye-opening presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you still have questions regarding writing a background of your research proposal or research report or scriptsy, you can just write your answers in the chat box, or you can use the raise hand menu, or if you have prepared your background, you can just tell us and you can share the background with us. I hope nobody's too afraid of getting some comments from Afazri. I can assure you it's going to be good for your writing. Anyone? Anyone would like to share your background? I know some of you are ready with the background. Bunia told me that you are already prepared with your background. Come on, just share it with us. Ayo, siapa yang mau share atau bertanya lagi boleh?
What about somebody named Ruli who just asked a question? Probably she's ready.
Ruli is still in the 5th semester, so I guess he's not ready with the research proposal yet.
Miss, I want Miss.
Who's that?
Yes, Sabrina, please.
Oh, Sabrina. Yes, please. Would you like to share the screen? Or ask questions?
I want to share my screen, Miss.
Okay,
Right.
please. Can you do it? Bisa kan? Sepertinya share screen-nya sudah menyala untuk semua. Yay. Way to go, Sabrina. Silakan langsung share saja.
Yeah, the rest you can get prepared with. Yeah.
Sabrina, are you there?
Ya, Miss, lagi dicoba.
Oke, silakan. Yang lain juga boleh siap-siap ya. Boleh dibuka dulu background-nya supaya tinggal share.
Oh, bagus ini Sabrina. Oh, belum ya? Saya kira udah.
Fotonya bagus ini di pinggir pantai.
Iya.
Oke, kita masih menunggu Sabrina. Sabrina, judulnya apa, Sabrina?
Analysis thematic progression in students descriptive text.
Alright. That's Ibu Nia's stuff.
Thematic progression. You know, Pak Fazri, there is some kind of changing trend in our students' research. So until about 4 or 5 years ago, most of the students chose to have experimental research with the limitation, like it was supposed to be an experiment but they only do the experiment for 3 or 4 meetings, something like that. But then now less and less students chose the experimental research and more on the analysis or observing some phenomenon in the classroom, like students' perception of the teacher's strategies. And I'm so happy about that.
It seems that those topics brought you years ago, yeah, when you were in classroom. That's nice and inspiring indeed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
many
Yeah,
chose to analyze.
we are also expecting some more students coming with new fresh insights, yeah, in their research. I'm happy observing students not only from undergraduate but masters and doctoral programs. I understand that some of them are struggling working with all things, yeah, the elements. But I know there are some still, I'm not sure, stick to the old things, yeah.
Right. Some.
But for instance, like the latest one that I'm supervising, I'm just the member of the supervisors, not not even the co-promoter. What's it? The topic is about standardized TOEIC tests, which
Hi.
yeah, which to me for doctoral programs it is too shallow.
Right.
Probably for undergrad or masters are fine, but for the doctoral program, there's something that they need to reveal in a form of novelty. And I think when you are talking about standardized tests, they need to come up with something new.
Exactly. TOEIC is kind of old-fashioned. Not so
That's
many
right.
people use it anymore anyway.
Right.
Silakan Sabrina. We are still waiting. Jadi nggak?
Or probably she's having a problem with screen
Ya,
sharing.
ini lagi pindah ke laptop.
Oh, okay. You were using your cell phone ya. Memang agak susah sih kadang kalau share. Nah,
Yeah, okay.
finally. Okay, we can see your word, but not the writing.
The screen, yes, but not yet the writing. Okay.
Selain Sabrina, ada lagi yang mau setelah Sabrina mungkin? While we still have time.
Right. Okay. May I see the research questions you have, Sabrina? You can zoom in anyway. Make it larger and wider display.
What sound is that?
Ya, mungkin di pinggir pantai jadi
Oh iya
suara
benar.
angin.
Bisa terlihat, Miss?
Page-nya terlihat, but we need to see the research question. Can you please show it? How many research questions do you have?
2, Miss.
Okay, boleh ditunjukkan. Bisa scroll ke bawah aja.
Research question-nya tidak dicantumkan di background ini, Miss, di file yang terpisah gitu, Miss.
Or you can just show the background and put the research question in the chat box. That's gonna work as well.
Okay.
Yang tadi aja background-nya, lalu research question-nya dimasukkan ke chat box.
Naufal kelihatannya siap-siap mau berbagi layar.
Iya,
Boleh.
Opal siap-siap, sepertinya boleh. Sabrina,
Ini
bisa tunjukkan.
Witri Lutfi semester 7 juga ya?
Semester 7 juga. Sebagian besar ini semester 7.
Oke. Ada Putri Wulan, Syara, Puji, Restu, Putri Amalina. Oke.
Sudah, Miss?
Right.
Sudah ya, background-nya boleh ditunjukkan lagi? Share lagi. Theme and Rim.
Oke, Sabrina, sambil menunggu layarnya terkembang ya. Ini seperti
Iya, maaf.
judul novel. Ya. Kenapa tertarik mendalami ini? Bagaimana theme rim terjadi dalam tulisan si anak itu, si siswa di kelas itu. Dan ini teksnya teks deskriptif ya. Apa yang membuat tertarik di sana?
Awalnya yang membuat saya tertarik itu karena ketika saya masuk juga ke kelas 7 ya Pak, especially for 7th grade, mereka itu ketika menulis descriptive text itu hanya fokus kepada bendanya saja. Misalnya they want to describe about apple, ya mereka hanya fokus dengan apple, ya apa yang ada di apple saja, without think more about coherence and kohesinya gitu dalam kalimat gitu Pak. Jadi itu tertarik untuk dianalisis.
Oke, berikutnya, baik. Berikutnya ini, kalau penelitian terdahulu sudah menunjukkan apa saja tuh tentang hal ini?
Nah, kalau misalnya tentang previous study-nya itu, ada yang menggunakan menganalisis tematic progression juga, tetapi di recontext dan apa namanya, ada juga yang di descriptive text, tapi menggunakan teori yang berbeda. Nah,
maksudnya teori yang berbeda?
Jadi mereka menganalisis tematic progression-nya itu berdasarkan teorinya siapa gitu. Nah, di sini
tapi tetap tentang theme rim ya?
Ya, tapi tetap dengan theme rim. Jadi mereka menganalisis tipe tema rema apa yang paling populer digunakan sama anak-anak di sekolah gitu. Nah, Sabrian juga mau menganalisis itu, tetapi menggunakan teori yang berbeda, Bapak.
Baik. Izin berkomentar ya, dan nanti boleh dilanjutkan oleh pembimbingnya.
Iya, Bapak.
Yang pertama tadi pertanyaan tentang kenapa tertarik itu menjadi penting dan perlu ada tadi previous studies ya. Kalau saya lihat sekilas di sini, rujukan pertama 2004 itu tentang rating ya. Kemudian rujukan kedua Kane itu tentang apa itu descriptive text. Ya. Jadi belum ada cerita tentang theme rim di sini dan kenapa ini penting. Itu belum muncul.
Ya.
Terus katanya di sini ada di paragraf kedua tapi muncul ya. Tapi di sini yang dibicarakan adalah katanya bermasalah dalam writing dan khususnya writing coherence. Nah, sampai situ terus apa katanya? Ada Bani Yons, nanti cara menulisnya, apalagi ini nulis penelitiannya tentang menulis ya Sabrina. Ini baiknya menulis mengutip itu nama akhir ya. Jadi kemungkinan ini nulisnya Yons and Al-Balawi. Nah, kemudian menulis N-nya itu N ya. A-N-D. And. Jadi bukan simbol ampersand. Ini namanya simbol ampersand. Biasanya simbol ampersand itu ditulis atau digunakan jika ditulisnya di dalam kurung. Nah, pernah tahu itu, Sabrina?
Iya, Pak.
Nah, itu penting ya. Nah, juga ternyata di sini di paragraf ini juga belum bercerita tentang tadi masalah tim RIM di paragraf ini ya. Belum ada. Tolong dicek Haliday Hasan tahun 76. Itu jadi mengingatkan nama Haliday Hasan itu yang menulis kamus. Udah lihat? Mungkin masih ingat. Kamusnya warna hitam.
Iya.
Untung saya sudah lahir tuh tahun 76 ya.
Saya
Tapi untuk
belum.
sebuah rujukan rasanya terlalu tua.
Betul.
Kemudian apa lagi? Iya. Nah, saya kira justru lebih baik yang ini, Sabrina, yang ini nih. Students need to be able to understand cohesion, coherent, tapi mungkin bukan understand ya, tapi to demonstrate their understanding on cohesion and coherence in their writing, gitu. Ya. Dan kemudian temuannya apa?
Baik, Pak.
Iya, karena kan cerita theme rim itu bercerita tentang bahwa harus ada topik dan bagaimana menyajikannya topik itu kan sebetulnya begitu. Nah, terus itu yang pertama ya. Nah, sedikit mengomentari. Jadi 3 paragraf ini perlu lebih fokus nulisnya ya. Dibandingkan misalnya coba dilihat lagi di paragraf pertamanya tadi. Ini kan mulai nulisnya writing ya. Nah, itu. Bagusnya yang tadi yang nomor 3, paragraf yang ketiga itu diangkat menjadi isu ya. Misalnya bahwa menulis dengan koherensi dan kohesi yang baik itu menjadi keharusan khususnya saat menulis apa misalnya. Nah, nanti dukung tuh ya. Jadi sudah ada, hanya nanti dicek bagaimana menuliskannya dan seterusnya. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, masalah ini Sabrina, masalah menggunakan teori. Saya tidak tahu tradisinya di sana seperti apa, tapi tradisi berkaitan dengan teori yang digunakan itu bukan teori yang munculnya dari orang, ya. The theory that you are using for particular focus of your research does not belong to one person only, but probably it belongs to one group of persons. Jadi theme rim itu sudah satu teori sebetulnya, mau dari siapapun, karena fokusnya adalah theme rimnya, bukan teorinya. Jadi bukan orangnya, bukan. Okay. Saya angkat sedikit analogi yang lain ya, misalnya tentang ini kecerdasan majemuk, multiple intelligence, ya. Oke, multiple intelligence itu kan ditawarkan, ya, ditawarkan, tapi kemudian teoris-teoris yang berikutnya itu lebih banyak sama mengacu kepada teori yang sama, tapi dibuat lebih detail, ya, dibuat oleh kan itu Howard Gardner ya, pencetusnya kecerdasan majemuk itu. Kemudian ketika ada orang lain yang bercerita tentang hal yang sama, tentang kecerdasan majemuk ya, tentang multiple intelligence itu, tapi dia kemudian menggarapnya dengan lebih detail. Misalnya, kalau musical intelligence itu aktivitasnya seperti apa? Nah, itu diterjemahkan oleh orang lain misalnya. Itu masih satu grup lah ya. Masih satu grup yang menyatakan bahwa multiple intelligence itu exist ya in human being. Gitu, bahwa sebetulnya kita semua tuh intelligence. Yang membedakan antara saya dengan Bu Dahlia, saya dengan siapa saja yang hadir di layar ini bukan intelligence-nya, tapi fokus intelligence-nya. Jadi dominasi intelligence-nya. Mungkin kita orang bahasa bisa jadi intelligence yang dominannya adalah linguistik. Ya, verbal intelligence. Verbal linguistic intelligence. Tapi mungkin di antara kita tidak hanya verbal linguistics, ada juga yang musical intelligence. Ya. Jadi kecerdasan musikalnya. Atau mungkin selain verbal linguistic ada yang mathematicals, yang special intelligence. Kalau di kampus, udah lihat saya suka menegur anak ya dengan cara begini. Kalau misalnya, nah kalian kan suka lihat kalau karena di kami kan bertingkat ya. Jadi misalnya di FEBS itu 5 tingkat gitu. Kemudian ada anak-anak yang suka duduknya di tangga. Duduknya di tangga. Nah, jadi kalau misalnya diangkat isunya di dalam kelas, kita sebutnya mereka punya masalah dengan special intelligence nih. Jadi bukan tidak tahu, tapi kalau diingatkan, nah tolong di pinggir. Kan ada yang cuman bergeser dikit ya. Nah itu tuh masih bermasalah special intelligence-nya. Karena anak yang tahu, kalau ditegur begitu langsung, oh ya maaf Pak, langsung pindah dan menjauh dari tangga itu. Itu special intelligence yang berbeda tuh. Mereka punya, tapi kadarnya yang beda-beda. Nah, di sini analogi itu sebetulnya saya ingin mengatakan bahwa sebetulnya teorinya tetap sama tentang multiple intelligence. Bukan karena Howard Gardner-nya, bukan karena Thomas Armstrong-nya, atau bukan yang lainnya. Ya, akan berbeda dengan taksonomi. Misalnya kita menggunakan teori taksonominya Bloom, maka terkenal dengan Bloom taksonomi, apalagi ada versi terbaru yang direvisi oleh Anderson ya. Oh, jadi yang ujungnya kalau dulu sintesis, kalau sekarang creation gitu. Ya, itu beda. Kalau hanya sejarah itu masih sama taksonomi Bloom. Tapi kalau Anderson itu ternyata mengembangkan yang lain dengan si Robson namanya, itu taksonomi afeksinya. Jadi bukan kognitifnya saja. Ya, jadi taksonomi Bloom itu terkenal banget kan ya. Siapa yang nggak kenal? Kalau nggak kenal berarti nggak tahu itu aja. Nah, ada lagi taksonomi Anderson atau si Robson. Nah, kalau itu afeksinya. Nah, kalau ini dibandingkan jelas memang kajiannya akan berbeda gitu. Kenapa? Karena yang satu fokusnya pada kognisinya, ya, pengetahuannya, sedangkan yang satu lagi pada afeksinya, sikapnya, ya. Attitude, behavior itu pakai itu. Nah, itu dua hal yang berbeda. Tapi kalau bicara tentang theme rim, pakai teori A dan teori B sebetulnya tidak berbeda. Justru PR-nya adalah lihat dulu teori theme rim itu oleh si Anu seperti apa, si Anu seperti misalnya kata si A seperti apa, kata si B seperti apa, kata si C seperti apa, lalu rumuskan kira-kira teori mana yang disetujui. Nah, ini urusannya literature review dulu, Sabrina. Jadi bukan kemarin pakai teorinya si A. Di penelitian itu pakai teorinya si A. Nah, sekarang saya pakai teorinya B. Bukan. Karena sebetulnya sama-sama theme rim. Gitu. Ya. Yang perlu di sana, ini kasus khusus ya, belum tentu sama dengan yang lain kasusnya. Kalau hal yang lain, ya, ya, jadi di theme rim itu nanti perlu ada kajian pustaka yang nantinya akan mengatakan Sabrina itu akan mengambil teorinya siapa. Jadi ada pros and cons tentang teori itu biasanya dimunculkan di literature review. Tapi di balik literature review juga dimunculkan ininya, voice kita sebagai peneliti kira-kira kita mau menggunakan teori siapa gitu. Ya. Nah, begitu. Jadi ini agak sedikit kompleks memang, tapi nanti silakan berdiskusi lebih lanjut dengan pembimbing terutama ya. Tuh Bu Kabrodi itu ahlinya theme rim itu sebetulnya karena kalau tidak salah disertasinya dalam menulis lagi ya gitu. Ya. Saya kira gitu ya pandangan sementaranya.
Baik,
Terima
terima kasih
kasih.
ya Pak.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih Pak Fazri, terima kasih Sabrina juga. Apakah ada lagi yang ingin menunjukkan background-nya? Boleh, satu lagi lah. Ya Pak, masih cukup ya? Siapa?
Ginan.
Oke, boleh Ginan langsung share screen saja. Oh, Syarah juga mau. Ya, setelah Ginan Syarah lalu sudah ya. Keburu jam 11. Boleh Ginan? Oke, tarik ke bawah
Satu
Ginan.
komentar tadi tentang punya Sabrina, tentang topiknya Sabrina. kami di kampus sering memperdebatkan penggunaan kata analisis. Jadi riset itu pasti dianalisa katanya gitu bahasanya. Mungkin kita bisa pikirkan nanti kalimat yang lain ya, atau frase yang lain. Oke.
Baik, Bapak.
Baik ya. Iya. Boleh lihat ke bawahnya, Ginan. Oke, di sini Ginan menggunakan kata researcher ya. Siapa researcher itu, Ginan?
Saya, Pak.
Oh gitu. Soalnya kalau Ginan menulis kata researcher, Ginan sedang membicarakan orang lain. Ya, karena orang lain berarti. Lalu ada sedikit ya. Ini kebetulan karena terlihat nama sekolah, nama siswa baiknya disembunyikan ya. Pakai alias, misalnya kalau di sini sebuah SMA negeri di Bandung, cari aja SMA negerinya sih mana ya. Tapi peneliti tahu bahwa itu di SMA 26 gitu. Ya, termasuk nanti kalau nama baiknya tidak dimunculkan nama. Biasanya di daftar hadir ya, ada namanya itu dihapus dulu, diganti dulu ya. Misalnya student 1, student 2 gitu aja. Gitu ya. Oke. Pertanyaannya apa, Ginan? Ada di sini kah?
Research question-nya, Ginan, bisa di-share?
Oke. Oh, ini boleh nulis begini, Bu dia, Bu Dahlia?
Ini untuk tugas pembuatan background, Pak. Jadi belum sesuai dengan format yang seharusnya.
Student frequency. Ini memang sudah agak lebih meluas ke bagian desain ya. Jadi gini, pemahaman correlational studies itu kan ingin melihat ya berkaitan atau tidak. Berkaitan di sini sebetulnya memprediksi atau tidak ya. Jadi kalau misalnya nonton TikTok itu tinggi, apakah jumlah kosakata berbahasa Inggrisnya menjadi tinggi? Kan sebetulnya pertanyaan itu juga ditanya lagi. TikTok apa dulu yang ditonton kan gitu ya. Kalau saya tuh suka nonton juga di TikTok ya, tapi misalnya berkaitan dengan teknologi perkomputeran, perlaptopan ya. Misalnya suka nonton. Itu kan apa? Istilahnya yang suka pop up itu fanpage ya. Muncul
For your page. For your page. For your page. FYP.
FYP ya. FYP-nya kan muncul itu. Dan kebanyakan misalnya berbahasa Indonesia, jarang berbahasa Inggris. Lah, gimana English vocabulary-nya naik dong kalau yang ditontonnya tadi, apalagi yang ditontonnya joget gitu ya. Joget kan nggak ada vocabulary-nya gitu. Kalau dari zaman sekarang mah yang lagu anak-anak yang dipertontonkan 17 Agustusan itu ya. Yang dibanding-bandingi yang gitu ya.
Banding-banding
Ya. Kan beda tuh nanti. Nah, jadi ini akan sangat sangat panjang prosesnya. Jadi satu, ini berkaitan dengan siapa yang akan dilibatkan. Karena korelasi itu termasuk statistik ya. Termasuk penelitian kuantitatif ya, yang biasanya membutuhkan statistik. Dan statistik itu membutuhkan jumlah responden yang besar, yang banyak ya. Jadi kalau baru punya 10, 20 itu belum. Tidak ada yang saya sendiri belum menemukan referensi yang tegas mengatakan berapa jumlahnya, tapi seringkali menyebutnya the more the merrier, the more the better. Maka tapi ada beberapa biasanya di eksperimen itu angka 30 sudah bisa digunakan. Tapi ingat prinsipnya tadi. Jumlah itu harus merepresentasikan hasil nantinya. Gitu. Jadi memang challenge dari riset-riset kuantitatif itu jumlah itu pertama di antaranya. Ya. Yang lainnya adalah yang ini. Keterkaitan Betul, nonton TikTok ya. Dan TikToknya itu harus yang English lesson gitu. Ya, harus yang English lesson. Berarti kan harus di-screen dulu, dipilih dulu. Siapa yang suka nonton TikTok dan TikTok yang ditontonnya belajar bahasa Inggris. Kan gitu. Jadi ini perlu sangat tertib memilih siapa yang akan dilibatkan. Ya. Nah, sebetulnya pertanyaan pada jenis penelitian seperti ini sebetulnya cukup yes no.
Iya.
Ya. Cukup yes no dan nomor 1 2 itu sudah selesai. Ya, jadi sudah diberesi dengan yes no itu sebetulnya. Karena nanti kita akan melihat siapa, berapa banyak dan seterusnya itu terbahas dengan pertanyaan itu. Makanya biasanya penelitian yang kuantitatif begini cenderung punya yang namanya hipotesa. Ya, dugaan sementara. Jangan lupa, dugaan sementara bukan karena peneliti punya dugaan ya. Tapi si peneliti itu sudah melakukan kajian pustaka dulu. Ya, jadi pustaka yang kuat khususnya dalam jenis penelitian korelasi seperti ini, itu akan menentukan betulkah pertanyaan ini masih bisa dilanjutkan untuk sebuah penelitian, alias visibility-nya tinggi atau tidak gitu. Nah, itu perlu ya, sehingga menentukan korelasinya. Kan korelasinya akan mengatakan betul berkorelasi adakah korelasi antara frekuensi menonton pelajaran bahasa Inggris melalui TikTok dengan mungkin peningkatan kosakata atau jumlah kosakata bahasa Inggris ya, bukan kosakata bahasa Sunda gitu ya. Itu kan harus jelas juga konteksnya. Nah, betulkah begitu? Nah, itu. Jadi dari sisi jumlah kosakata apa yang mau dilibatkan itu betul-betul perlu diidentifikasi. Jadi tidak sembarang mengatakan kosakata misalnya. Kita tahu kosakata itu kan ada 9 jenis ya. Jenis kata itu kan ada 9 ya. Ya, apakah mau dimasukkan semua atau bagaimana? Nah, ini penting. Ya, jadi penting dimunculkan. Artinya memang perjalanan sampai ke penelitian ini banyak hal yang perlu disiapkan, Ginan ya. Banyak sekali yang perlu disiapkan. Nah, kalau ceritanya tentang ini, punten kembali ke paragraf pertama. Ini kan ada 2 isu ya. Isu pertama adalah penggunaan teknologi dalam pembelajaran bahasa. Yang kedua, penguasaan kosakata yang berdampak kepada apa? Bagusnya begitu sih. Ya. Jadi begini misalnya, ada seseorang yang bisa hafal kamus. Bayangkan jumlah kosakata di kamus itu banyak sekali. Tapi dia tidak bisa merangkai kosakata yang dia kuasai menjadi kalimat. Kan nonsens ya. Itu akan tidak bermakna. Dibandingkan misalnya dia hanya punya 10 atau 20 kosakata, tapi dengan 10-20 kosakata itu dia bisa berbahasa Inggris gitu. Walaupun bahasa Inggrisnya sederhana. Rasanya kita sepakat akan mengatakan yang jumlahnya sedikit itu dan bisa menggunakannya dalam berkomunikasi. Ya, berkomunikasi itu menggunakan dalam artian untuk speaking atau writing atau untuk reading dan listening kan gitu. Itu komunikasi. Itu dengan baik ya, dengan 10-20 kosakata kemudian baik gitu. Nah, itu kan jauh lebih bermanfaat. Nah, yang tentu yang kita harapkan adalah jumlah kosakatanya banyak, mungkin seperti kamus tadi, dan kemudian mampu digunakan dalam berkomunikasinya dengan baik juga, kan gitu. Nah, jadi di sini memang butuh dimunculkan urgensi. Jadi kalau bicara apa betul penguasaan jumlah kosakata yang tinggi, yang banyak, itu berpengaruh kepada kemampuan berbahasa Inggris yang bagus. Nah, itu perlu dimunculkan. Ya. Coba misalnya ada Paul Nation yang mengajar, yang ahli dalam bidang English vocabulary. Vocabulary teaching itu ada Paul Nation misalnya. Nah, boleh tuh cari tahu ya, apa kata peneliti-peneliti berkaitan dengan kosakata. Karena sekarang itu nampaknya kalau bidangnya, kalau di kami Bu Dahlia, fokusnya pendidikan bahasa Inggris itu nggak boleh fokus di bidang misalnya kalau linguistik murni nggak boleh. Jadi seperti ini misalnya vocabulary itu tidak boleh kalau hanya vocabulary saja, tapi harus berkaitan dengan apakah pembelajarannya, ya berarti penguasaan muridnya atau ke gurunya atau ke bahan ajarnya. Jadi ada keterikatan dengan pendidikan bahasa Inggrisnya. Pendidikan itu tidak harus ngajar, gitu ya. Bahan ajar, alat evaluasi itu bagian dari pendidikannya. Begitu. Penguasaan kosakata murid itu pendidikan juga, gitu ya. Yang hanya sayangnya tidak berhenti di sana. Penguasaan kosakata sekarang sudah harus berkembang bagaimana menggunakan kosakata itu dalam berkomunikasi, gitu. Ya, tadi hafal kosakata di kamus, tapi tidak bisa mendemonstrasikannya, mengomunikasikannya, maka itu tidak jadi. Ya, tidak dianggap kompeten secara komunikatif, gitu. Ya ini agak liar memang karena topiknya, memang ini topik yang kalau tadi dikaitkan, itu PR persiapan risetnya itu yang menurut saya cukup panjang ya. Tadi kan harus memilih siapa yang senang nonton TikTok. Itu aja belum tentu banyak. Yang kedua, nonton TikToknya khusus. Harus tentang pembelajaran bahasa Inggris. Nah, bukan yang joget tadi gitu ya. Misalnya, bukan yang nyanyi saja. Bukan juga kayak saya nonton tentang otak-atik alat elektronik gitu. Tidak juga gitu kan, harus. Kalaupun mau, mungkin Englishnya bukan English lesson ya. Tapi English programs. Maksudnya program dalam bahasa Inggris. Boleh apa saja. Mungkin itu lebih mudah ngerekrutnya. Ya.
English videos gitu ya. Pokoknya yang
Ya,
dalam
pokoknya
bahasa
tentang
Inggris.
apa saja topiknya. Pokoknya any topic tapi in English. Ya, jangan yang, kan banyak juga yang bahasa daerah gitu kan ya. Gitu. Sekira gitu ya. Jadi di awalnya untuk backgroundnya, baiknya isu itu dulu yang dimunculkan. Saya sering tidak menyarankan memulai kalimat, apalagi ini paragraf pertama, according to. Karena belum ada isunya apa.
Iya.
Ya, jadi isunya mulainya adalah penguasaan kosakata berbahasa Inggris. Nah, itu dulu. Ya. Penguasaan kosakata berbahasa Inggris. Karena di sini kan learning vocabulary itu vocabulary yang mana? Belum tahu. Ya, jadi terlalu luas.
Iya.
Begitu ya, Ginan? Oke.
Oke, terima kasih Pak. Terima kasih juga Ginan. Mungkin bisa ditambah pembatasannya ya, seperti vocabulary-nya mau yang mana, apakah semuanya. Kemudian mungkin bisa juga di dalam skill tertentu, misalnya vocabulary-nya dalam listening comprehension saja, atau dalam speaking mungkin, gitu supaya lebih spesifik dan meaningful. Masih bisa satu lagi, Syarah? Jadi Syarah?
Jadi
Oke, boleh. Boleh, silakan. Ini terakhir. Ini research question-nya Syarah ada di chat box, Pak.
Iya.
What do you mean by ID Indonesian maksudnya? Syarah, boleh diklarifikasi ID di situ maksudnya apa? Indonesian atau istilah lain?
Disability means anak tunagrahita.
Intellectual disability. Oke. Wah, ini seru nih, Pak. 68 ya. Nah. Ibu saya masih SD.
Saya juga belum lahir itu. Oke. Nah, ini syarah ya. Syarah pertanyaannya itu ternyata paragraf awalnya generik ya. Syarah tentang teaching strategies. Kalau mau teaching strategies for disabled people, itu harus ke sana larinya. Jangan ambil yang generik, teaching strategies-nya ya. Jadi jangan ke sana. Tapi isunya adalah ya teaching strategies untuk para difabel gitu. Gitu. Satu. Terus ini kelihatannya Sarah suka menggunakan kutipan langsung ya. Nah, saran saya jangan, apalagi di background. Jangankan di background, di literature review saja minimalisir. Kalau bisa diparafrase gitu. Ya. Misalnya kalau mau mengangkat isu teaching strategies ya in EFL context, define as boleh. Ya, didefinisikan. Jadi hanya frase saja munculnya. Jangan khusus sebuah sebuah kalimat khusus, sebuah paragraf khusus membahas tentang teaching strategis, jangan. Kenapa? Itulah kekhasannya background. Background itu kelihatan banyak yang mau dibicarakan, tapi sebetulnya sangat dibuat concise, sangat dibuat padat sekali gitu. Ya. Ini kan di paragraf pertama Perry. Nah, yang cited in ini namanya secondary resource, itu juga tidak disarankan. Jadi baiknya primary resource semua. Ya. OECD itu sebetulnya tidak terlalu berperan karena itu kan organisasi dunia berkaitan dengan memang bidangnya pendidikan ya, bidangnya pendidikan. Tapi tidak terlalu punya otoritas berkaitan dengan teaching strategis gitu. Jadi jangan. Kalau saya tidak menyarankan untuk menggunakan OECD sebagai rujukan. Kalau berkaitan misalnya tentang level kemahiran berbahasa tingkat dunia, nah data OECD bisa digunakan. Ya. Tapi kalau masalah ini tidak saya sarankan. Gitu. Jadi kalau bicara teori tentang teaching strategies, apalagi untuk para siswa yang berketerbatasan, gitu, itu baiknya memang rujukannya dari sana juga, ya, rujukannya dari orang-orang itu. Sedangkan yang saya tahu Brown sendiri, memang kalau bicara teaching strategies itu yang umum, bukan yang for special need people gitu. Gitu ya. Jadi ini memang rujukannya perlu di update. Gitu, Syarah. Nah,
Baik.
nanti juga saya kira perlu gimana, Syarah? Ya,
Ada yang mau ditanyakan, Syarah?
Oh enggak, ini tadi ini enggak.
Oke. Tidak ada katanya, Pak.
Baik. Bu Dahlia memang masih menggunakan yang titik 2 ya? Untuk halaman?
Sementara iya, Pak.
Oh, sementara ya. Karena kalau mau pakai APA 6 dan 7 itu sudah pakai P itu ya.
Oh
Misalnya
iya.
19, 92, karena itu halamannya 1, itu P-nya 1. Gitu. Kalau halamannya banyak, berarti P-nya double. Itu pun hanya untuk yang dikutip utuh. Nah ini kan misalnya yang Brown itu kan kutipan utuh, tapi malah tidak ada halamannya.
Halamannya, ya.
Nah, sedangkan yang lain yang tidak dikutip utuh malah ada halamannya. Nah itu kebalik ya cara nulisnya.
Mohon izin bertanya, Pak, kaitannya dengan secondary citation itu. Kadang-kadang mahasiswa itu bingung. Mereka menemukannya kan secondary source, tapi ya itu kan tidak disarankan ya cited in bla 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 bla. Tapi ketika mau merujuk ke sumber aslinya itu terlalu tua. Jadi baiknya bagaimana?
Yang pertama dilihat dulu kontennya. Seberapa konten itu memang sangat dibutuhkan gitu. Ya, misalnya saya ingat ada communicative principles-nya dari Grice. Grice itu kan memunculkannya tahun 63.
Iya, betul.
Tapi memang sejak saat itu
bahkan.
belum pernah ada lagi yang baru. Kalau itu boleh gitu. Tapi kalau teaching strategis banyak, misalnya ya. Jadi tergantung topik sih, tergantung konten yang sedang didefinisikan atau sedang dibicarakan ya. Satu. Yang kedua, kita seringkali kalau menemukan secondary resource, memang ini butuh ketangguhan mencari.
Mencari sumber
Saya
yang
ingat
dikutip
ketika
orang itu ya.
disertasi, saya tidak menemukan kerangka teori utama saya. Namanya dari Michel Bakhtin. Cari, jadi selalu secondary resource lagi ya. Nggak apa-apa, pakai aja dulu. Tapi kemudian untungnya itu sebelum ujian, saya menemukan gitu. Ternyata itu sumbernya dari apa coba? Semacam pidato politik, ditulisnya itu dalam bentuk seperti surat. Tapi itu muncul menjadi teori. Kan pusing kita. Oh ternyata kayak gini ya proses ternyata ya. Jadi baru tahu bahwa ternyata namanya sebuah teori itu bisa dari mana saja misalnya sumbernya gitu. Nah, saya pakai teori namanya dialogicity namanya. Nah, itu baru ketemunya ternyata tidak terlalu tua sebetulnya, tahun 81 ya. Karena memang itu seperti pidato politik gitu dalam bentuk surat gitu ya. Jadi ada judulnya tuh The Four Letters of Bakhtin ya. Ya, jadi surat dan itu ceritanya semuanya politik dan ternyata isunya tentang tadi dialogism gitu. Jadi paham tentang komunikasi dialogis. Memang itu untuk di Asia itu tidak terlalu populer karena di Asia kan Konfusianisme ya.
Iya.
Di mana otoriter bentuknya top down gitu. Sedangkan itu berlakunya di Rusia itu kan termasuk Eropa dan Eropa Amerika itu kan termasuk yang egaliter ya. Jadi ada dialog yang terjadi gitu. Nah, itu yang dicari. Jadi memang perlu cari. Itu mah harus tangguh gitu.
Betul.
Ya, harus
ketangguhan mencari.
Pasti ada sih sebetulnya ya itu tadi seringkali belum ketemu. Belum ketemunya itu lebih sering karena kita gagal
Masukkan keyword yang tepat
iya,
itu juga kan.
gagal rajin menggunakan kata kunci. Jadi kata kuncinya tuh kayak itu lagi gitu ya. Seperti tidak bisa move on katanya. Gitu. Iya, menarik ini. Tapi saya suka dengan intellectual disability-nya. Kebetulan teman S3 saya menggali tentang yang model-model beginilah ya, yang berkaitan dengan siswa berkebutuhan khusus ya, ABK ya, anak berkebutuhan khusus. Bagus dan perlu dari kita ya.
Betul.
Kalau mau silakan, tinggal nanti dilihat apakah ada yang bisa membimbingnya gitu ya. Itu penting juga.
Kalau saya perhatikan beberapa tahun terakhir, setiap tahun hampir selalu ada sih yang
ada ya?
kajiannya tentang siswa berkebutuhan khusus yang
bagus.
Visual impaired sudah pernah, hearing impaired sudah pernah, yang intellectual disability ini saya baru lihat dari syarah. Cuman memang tantangannya adalah kan kalau yang mengajar di SLB itu harus lulusan PLB ya Pak. Jadi seringkali gurunya tidak terlalu paham bahasa Inggris sebetulnya.
Iya.
Gitu.
Iya, betul. Hanya begini, Bu. Kita bisa melihat bukan fenomena. Tagihan kurikulum. Tagihan kurikulum kan ada, kalau di kurikulum 2013 ya, yang CP terbaru untuk kurikulum Merdeka sih, saya belum melihat. Ada keterkaitan antara bahan ajar dengan kepada siapa itu diajarkan gitu. Jadi ada kalau itu jelas. Jadi kalau kalau orang-orang yang bergerak dalam dunia difabel itu tidak boleh menyebut ngajar anak yang normal dan tidak normal itu nggak boleh gitu, bahasanya ya. Jadi anak yang normal dengan anak yang berkebutuhan istilahnya gitu. Nah, itu dulu ada gitu. Jadi kalau ini apa gitu ya, fokusnya seperti apa gitu. Kalau yang normal ya biasa aja. Tapi kalau ini khusus gitu. Bebannya juga memang lebih sedikit kan gitu.
Iya.
Dan orientasinya memang level komunikasi tingkat sederhana, sangat sederhana sekali. Gitu. Tapi
Iya.
tetap ada. Jadi kalau dulu kan masih SMP, SMA ya. Jadi SMP yang difabel, SMA difabel pasti dapat tuh bahasa Inggris gitu.
Iya.
Dan tetap wajib dan diajarkan. Karena itu tuntutan kurikulumnya. Tapi untuk yang terbaru yang pakai CP istilahnya, capaian pembelajaran di kurikulum Merdeka, saya belum lihat tuh. Saya rasanya lihatnya ya ini untuk yang biasa. Terima kasih ini mengingatkan jadinya. Iya ya. Kita juga kan
gali
perlu
lagi.
memperhatikan mereka.
Betul.
Bagus nih.
Betul. Syarah ada yang mau ditanyakan lagi kaitannya dengan background yang sudah Syarah buat? Apa sudah cukup? Waktu sudah jam 11 lewat 5 menit. Kita sudah korupsi 30 menit.
Ya, cukup Miss. Terima kasih Pak Miss.
Sama-sama Syarah. Good luck ya.
Terima kasih Pak.
Oke, baiklah. Terima kasih Syarah, boleh stop sharing. Mungkin nanti bisa didiskusikan lagi dengan supervisornya. Baik Pak, alhamdulillah kita sudah membedah, melihat sekilas lah 3 background buatan mahasiswa. Semakin kesini saya melihat semakin variatif topik-topik penelitian yang dipilih oleh mahasiswa. Itu sesuatu yang sangat menggembirakan karena pasti akan menambah wawasan untuk semuanya juga, tidak hanya mahasiswanya tapi dosennya kan juga belajar ya Pak ya.
Betul.
Baik, ada sedikit beberapa poin yang bisa saya tangkap dan ulang kembali dari pemaparan Pak Fazri tadi. Yang pertama dan yang paling utama adalah baca. Harus banyak membaca, tidak ada cara lain. Karena untuk bisa tahu apakah penelitian kita itu sesuai kebutuhan atau tidak, urgent atau tidak, sudah pernah dilakukan atau belum, the only way to find out is by reading as many resources as possible. Ya, bisa menggunakan browsingnya kemana, bisa yang paling sederhana mungkin bisa dari Google Scholar dulu atau bisa menggunakan search engine yang ada di website perpustakaan atau yang saya yakin Miss Nia di mata kuliah risetnya juga sudah share beberapa portal seperti Science Direct, Sage Publishing atau Taylor and Francis, itu juga yang sering dosen-dosennya gunakan. Jadi gunakanlah itu, tinggal PR-nya adalah pinter-pinter ngutak-ngatik keywords supaya nggak itu aja, supaya tidak gagal move on seperti kata Pak Fazri tadi.
Saya hanya pakai ProQuest sama EBSCO waktu itu, dan itu pun tidak habis-habis.
Nah betul, betul tidak habis-habis. Memang ada jutaan ya karya yang bisa kita baca kalau mau meluangkan waktu. Dan mudah-mudahan dari sesi hari ini teman-teman bisa lebih paham lagi menulis latar belakang yang efektif itu seperti apa. Karena itu intinya adalah efektif, bukan sebanyak apa informasi yang dimasukkan, tapi pesan yang ingin disampaikan itu tersampaikan atau tidak. Begitu. Selebihnya bisa dilihat lagi nanti videonya atau bisa didiskusikan lagi dengan supervisornya, dengan teman-teman semua, dengan dosennya. Dan saya ingin mengucapkan rasa terima kasih sebesar-besarnya kepada Pak Fazri yang sudah bersedia berbagi bersama mahasiswa kami di sini. Insya Allah bermanfaat, mudah-mudahan jadi amal jariah ya Pak.
Amin.
Amin.
Jangan
bosan main ke UIN ya Pak.
Siap.
Mudah-mudahan nanti bisa main in person, bisa datang ke kampus Mesir, UIN cabang Mesir. Jadi nggak ketemu di Zoom aja kayak gini.
Harus lengkap dengan biryani kalau begitu.
Oh begitu, Pak. Kalau biryani nanti kita cari vendornya dulu, Pak. Baik, sekali lagi terima kasih banyak rekan-rekan mahasiswa. Terima kasih Pak Fazri. Sampai bertemu di ngaji riset berikutnya. Have a nice weekend. saya izin untuk menutup sesi pada siang hari ini dengan membaca hamdalah bersama-sama. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih semuanya. Terima kasih Bu Predari, terima kasih Bu Kaprodi, Bu Nia. Bu Nia cepat pulang supaya bisa berdiskusi lagi. Terima kasih juga Pak Dani, staf PBI, staf Prodi yang sudah membantu memfasilitasi dengan meeting ini. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima
Ya,
kasih
terima
semua
kasih.
Bu
Sama-sama,
Kaprodi, Bapak Ibu dosen, dan mahasiswa semua ya. Sukses.
Ya, amin.
Baik.
Terima kasih Pak.
Baik. Izin live ya.
Ya Pak, silakan. Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum.